Right, I think we are live. Hello, everybody. We'll just give it another 30 seconds or so to let people get into the virtual meeting and let as many people get settled as possible, and then we'll fire away.
Sounds good.
Some familiar names in the guest meeting room. So yeah, welcome everybody. Nice to have you with us. I think yeah, without further ado, we'll crack on. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Insights Time with Mike and Rich, but without Mike this time. Usually I've got my partner in crime, Mike Boswell, with me. As the two sales development managers here at Giant Finance. He is currently sunning himself on a beach in the Caribbean somewhere, so having a lovely time of it, I'm sure. So flying solo today, but I have a guest on this webinar today, Max Jones. Max, hello, how you doing?
Very well. How are you? You okay?
Good. Yeah, very well, thanks. Yeah, Max is from Isotope Capital, who I'm sure a lot of you will know a lot about and have heard a lot about. So Max, do you want to just give a sort of a quick introduction, a quick sort of backstory for for yourself and for Isotope Capital,
Yeah,
so
of
everyone knows
course.
what
Yeah.
you're
So,
about?
so, um, so I suppose we're the guys that really identify recruiters who are looking at starting and developing their own recruitment agencies and offer this tried and tested launch and support model to, I suppose, categorically help them do that. So, in terms of the markets that we're fortunate to work in, everything from construction to the veterinary space to engineering to commercial to really everything in between, whether it's kind of that dual desk kind of £10 perm model or if it's purely perm or purely kind of temporary and contract. So it's been something that we've been very lucky to do now for in this guys 4.5, 5 years, but a number of the
Yeah.
guys here have been fortunate enough to do it for a long, long time. So yeah, really enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's not just you. You've got a full team behind you supporting
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the, the
yeah,
team,
yeah. So
right? Yeah,
there's 7 or 8 of us. So
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah,
So been really fortunate with the guys that we're lucky enough to have internally, and then obviously the clients that we support as well.
yeah. Fantastic. So just drilling into that a little bit. For day to day, what is it you're doing for your clients at Isotope?
Yeah,
There's a lot that goes to running a recruitment business, right? From startup, coming out of an existing employed
yeah,
role.
yeah,
There's a lot that you don't know that you don't know, right? So until you
yeah.
get into that hot seat, as it were, you're not really going to be aware of everything that goes along with it. So what's your day to day like at Isotope when you're
Yeah, so
looking
so I
after these
suppose really
clients?
the easiest way to describe it is kind of like if our guys were to get a blank piece of paper and kind of write down all the things that they feel they're going to need to effectively launch this business and then support them and that agency over the next couple of years. To be honest, anything that falls outside the day job, so the recruitment, would always be where I stood
Yeah,
to sit. So you traditionally tend to fall into kind of core pillars of support. So whether that's the accounts and back office side for that business, of course, the
yeah,
legal and the compliance and the HR kind of arm to that business being kind of pillar two. And then you have pillar three being that creative and marketing kind of technical support around that business. And then pillar four is more the resources. So what tools do these guys really need to help them do what they're looking to do? Because the ideal dynamic you're really trying to create is that essentially you're working for yourself but not by yourself and then owning 100% of your own thing, but having this team called Isotope there to
yeah,
support in really every capacity outside the
yeah,
day job that I would say traditionally the guys that we support, they might have been honestly working in recruitment for maybe anything north of maybe 5, 6 years, maybe
yeah.
one particular market, and therefore at that cusp of just feeling ready to do it for themselves. And then hopefully that's where we come in.
Yeah, love it. The four pillars of running a recruitment business. Yeah,
There you go.
there's a book in that somewhere, I reckon.
There
Yeah,
is, there
it's
is, yeah.
and what you're saying there about you know working for yourself but not by yourself. That I think that's something that's really important, especially at the minute there's a lot of talk around mental health and having that support network there, not just from a business side. I guess you're
Yeah.
a bit of a confidant and someone just to bounce ideas off as well. It's not just about the business side, right?
No, it really isn't. Yeah, no, and it kind of always, I think for these types of models to stand the test of time and to actually be effective long term for the guys that you're lucky enough to work with, it has to be more than just that
Yeah,
kind of those pillars. It really is one of those things you want to create an environment that, the guys who are at ISO are simply just an extension of that business.
yeah,
And there are certain times where it falls into I suppose those core categories and it's quite definable. and then there are absolutely times where it's completely off the wall. But from our side of things, that's really where you want to be, because you want to be providing the support they need at every single kind of point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're anything like us with your clients, we've spoken before about this. I know you are. That sort of the pipeline and the lead time to bring clients on. You'll have been speaking to these people for months and years probably before they make that decision, because it's a massive decision, right? To leave what might be a really good job. They're doing really well. There's they've got a guaranteed income. That's the crux of it. So they make that leap and jump across to setting it up for themselves. It takes a long time, and they need to have that confidence that they've got a good support network in place.
I think it is that, and I think that's why 9 times out of 10 we'll have been speaking to these individuals for months, if not years, prior to when it feels like the right time. And I suppose that's because it's very rare that someone will wake up on a Thursday afternoon and think, right, I want to start my own business. It's one of those things. It is always a slow burn kind of thing. So it's arguably one of the biggest decisions, if not the biggest decision in someone's career that they're ever really going to make. So it's worth investing the time to make sure that, okay, when you're looking at doing it, because the beauty of obviously the position of so many recruiters and so many recruiters over the years is that there are so many ways that you can do it. So there's not just one particular route. So you should really go out and research it to make sure that you're getting the most suitable support for really whatever it is you're looking to do.
I mean, I don't have stats to hand, but there's a huge number of startups that fail. A huge number, probably a majority. So making sure you've got that infrastructure in place and you've planned ahead and you're working with the right team is crucial. And we're very much the same. We provide finance and back office services to clients. We've got a few mutual clients as well, you and I. So we're very much the same, and making sure that it's the right relationship is key. Because it's something that you want to be able to support to help them build a business and help them grow. We're not doing the same thing as you. We're not doing that whole wraparound care piece that you're doing, but we're providing a quite an intrinsic part of a temp or contract recruitment agency's business in terms of the finance and the back office support. So you want to make sure it's a good relationship, so that you can work together and help with that growth. And I think that's what it comes down to. It takes time. It takes time to build that relationship, and it can happen for months and months before you actually sign on the dotted line.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's because it is such a big thing that, usually individuals will think about it years before they even then start having those types of conversations with people outside of their friends and family about it anyway. I think those types of conversations, they're really sobering, because they make people feel like, hey, is this actually the right thing for me at this time? Am I professionally ready? Am I personally ready? Do I understand really vaguely what I want to do? And therefore that then influences the type of support that's going to be so important to them to help them do it. What I often say to clients is, you don't need to know everything. You can't be expected to, you're a great recruiter or a great salesperson in your own right. You don't necessarily have that expertise of running a business and everything that goes along with that, and the bookkeeping side of things, payroll and all those things. So speak to experts who know how to do that, and they can do it for you. Allow you to focus on what you do great, and that it should be a good working relationship. I suppose, just to interject there, I suppose that's why, for us over the years, it's been the best way to describe it is it's an incubation model. You're hoping to get these individuals to a point whereby at some stage they'll start feeling ready to bring those services in-house, which is why there's so much of an internal demand, understandably, on that kind of holistic support that goes with it. Because there's one thing doing the back office, there's one thing doing the compliance, there's one thing producing the marketing side of things, there's another thing ensuring that our clients, as obviously as it sounds, understand every part of that business and feel like they're progressing with their understanding of it as well.
And I guess that's something that you're working towards to sort of get them to that point where they can kind of change what they're doing and grow and slot go out into the wider world on their own and succeed. No, absolutely, we're very similar on that front. So question for you: what is your kind of, I guess, dream kind of client, dream candidate, someone that you spot in them the things that they're going to need to succeed, be it as a business person, as a recruiter, that can then go on and become, as you said, part of your incubator and grow as a business?
Yes, I suppose there's multiple kind of criteria, for want of a better phrase. I think if you look at the kind of the black and white criteria, experience wise over the years, just for us, we've kind of seen anyone that has north of that 5 kind of 6 year mark
Right.
tends to be the right individual that maybe is starting to feel professionally ready to do it.
Yeah.
They might have felt personally ready for a long time prior to that, but professionally they're kind of understanding the cycles that they're in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a quite a cold one, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
But then naturally it's about the types of conversations you're lucky enough to have with these guys. It's trying to understand, okay, what are the real drivers behind this individual looking to do something like this? Is it a flash in the pan kind of idea where basically they just had an awful day, an awful week, an awful quarter, and anything other than this is going to be okay for them? Because obviously that doesn't breed the longevity that you really want in a partnership like this. So you really delve into a lot about, okay, well, why is it that you're really looking to do what you're looking to do? And are those motivations that we've been lucky enough to see time and time again?
Because you're doing your due diligence there, right, as well, and making sure that it's going to work for you
vice
as well.
versa. Yeah, absolutely. And then we look at the market, but I suppose, fortunately, thanks to the guys internally here, there isn't a market that we shy away from because we've had experience in so many. But we look at the market and look at kind of that tends to be more influenced around the timing. So you know yourself, there are certain markets where there are seasonal peaks that it makes sense to do this now as opposed to then, if that makes sense. But really, we're looking at, okay, do we understand why these guys are really looking to do what they're looking to do? Do we understand the market? Have we supported individuals in that market before? Do we know, before we're lucky enough to even speak to them, what type of support is going to be important to, I suppose, categorically help them do what they're looking to do? As cliche as that sounds, is there a blueprint of, okay, these are the things that this type of business is going to need before we're even lucky enough to chat with them? And then because it is so holistic, because it is so hands-on, you want to really get on with these guys as well. It's a huge thing. And all joking aside, that's obviously that has to be a mutual thing. Those types of criteria, we would expect them to apply to every interaction they have with us as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's got to work on that personal level. That you mentioned it earlier, that personal versus professional thing. So there's the professional. It's kind of like the tangible stuff of, like you say, how long have they been doing what they're doing, what's their background, and all the sort of numbers and stats around that. But then also the personal stuff. Are you going to get on with them? Because you're going to be speaking to these people on a daily basis, right? Probably.
100%. No.
So you need to have that relationship.
A good relationship for us every day, if not every couple of days, just speaking to somebody here at Isotope about something to do with that business. I think the professional kind of journey that you see quite often is, as obvious as now it sounds, a kind of a graduation of from a consultant. Then they might start managing a team. They might have even had the experiences which so many of our guys have had, where they're opening branches for their employer, or they might be heading up new divisions, or they might be going into a market that their current employer doesn't know too much about, and maybe they do. And it's kind of a little bit of a professional test run to see, okay, can I do this for myself? And do I enjoy that process as well? And that's something that we would always encourage our guys to try and get that kind of experience under their belt if they're then feeling like they want to do it.
Yeah, I guess if there's anyone out there that's doing exactly what you've just described, running a desk, setting up new branches and offices, maybe feeling a bit frustrated, I guess, at not necessarily thinking, why can't I do this for myself? Why am I doing this for someone else to make all the profit? That's the sort of person that might thrive in setting up a business and running it themselves.
And I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's very rare that we'll speak to someone who's ultimately just a little bit niggled with where they are. They might have a frustration here or there, but 9 times out of 10, most individuals have such respect for their current employer that actually one of the biggest hurdles is getting over that kind of not feel bad, but I kind of feel bad. I've been with that company for X amount of years, and I'm going to go and be a quote competitor to what they do, which is why when you're looking at having those kind of conversations with your current employer about what it is that you might be looking to do long term, as kind of odd as it might sound, the more open, at least we've seen, the more open our guys are in those conversations, the easier that kind of 6-12 months at the beginning really is.
Because I mean, I guess there'll be restrictions and non-compete clauses that they'll have to navigate and be aware of that. So I guess the more open and go into it with your eyes wide open, right? Like anything in life, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. And if you leave a role and all of a sudden you find yourself completely hamstrung because you hadn't checked your contract or did due diligence, then you're really going to struggle to get going. And I guess that's key to make sure you know exactly what you're getting into and take the time to be able to do that. And I'll come back to that point I made earlier. You don't need to know everything. You just need to have a good network in place and have a good infrastructure around you to tell you what you don't know. Because that's the only way you learn.
And I think with those post-contractual obligations, it's a conversation that comes up every single time, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that ultimately, as obvious as it sounds, it's respecting what they say in black and white, and then running your kind of your first 6-12 month kind of forecast, for want of a better phrase, based on the fact that no, you're not going to be able to renegotiate or negotiate anything in terms of that exit.
Right.
The beauty of that is that 9 times out of 10 you are, which means that the numbers that you kind of thinking about hitting in those first 6 to 12 months, they're slightly lower than what they might end up being, because you might be lucky enough to bring a couple of clients across with you, but it's always about having that conversation.
And having the experience of someone like yourself as well on board to point that out. And is that something you sort of advise on at Isotope? Did you get involved in that side of things, or is that sort of
So you have to be, you can't be biased with these things. So for us, we always err on the side of caution. It would never be a case of kind of encouraging someone to do something that might be a little bit not right. So for us, we always err on the side of caution with these things, saying these are your restrictions in black and white, therefore we would advise you to do X, Y, Z, which is not do this, not do that, respect this. If you're lucky enough to then have a conversation with your current employer about various things, good on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And putting you on the spot slightly here, maybe what's the sort of the market like at the minute, in terms of is there a good time to set up a new business? Is there a time that's better than others? You mentioned about the sort of seasonality of some sectors. That notwithstanding, is there a better time than others to launch, or is it just a case of when feels right for you?
I think as obvious as it sounds, it's looking at professionally, are there seasonal peaks, and as obvious as it sounds, trying to time it like that. But if we put that to one side, honestly, no.
Right.
It's one of these things that over the years, we've seen the numbers and the kind of the cycles 101 times. There is no kind of peak and trough to it. It's always very consistent, which means that ultimately it is about personally feeling like the right time, which means that 9 times out of 10 people will simply then be ready, busting a gut to go. And if they're in a market that is seasonal, like your constructions of this world, or the accounts and finance market, or education, then of course you're then basically in that little launch limbo where you're waiting to then do it.
Sure. I thought you were going to say New Year, that would be a good time to get going.
Well, sometimes,
do you get people who kind of come to you like New Year's resolutions, right? You say, right, I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to start a new business, and then 6 weeks later, it's all down the pan.
No. We might have like an influx of conversations. Back end of December, beginning of January that might not then translate into anything. But usually, the kind of the gestation period from that first conversation to actually then working with that business, it is months, if not years. So in terms of tracking it, it's kind of one of those things. It's been very consistent over the years.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I think there's a lot of similarities to what we're doing. Obviously from very different perspectives. But we're kind of working with the same sort of individuals, the same sort of client base. We're speaking to sort of people who are in a similar boat, new start recruiters looking for support and looking for finance. So there's a lot of kind of correlation there. So Max, it's been really good speaking to you. Really enjoyed going into a bit of detail. Where can people find you? Where can people find Isotope if they do want to learn a little bit more?
Probably LinkedIn.
That's standard.
So LinkedIn, and then obviously the website. But most of our stuff is referral based, because we're lucky enough to have that kind of network. But LinkedIn is usually the best place to find our guys. So 100%. Yeah.
Well, we'll share contact details. We'll share this video with anyone else who wants a copy as well. But Max, look, thanks very much for your time. We'll sort of draw a line under it there. Appreciate your time. Thanks everyone for joining. If you do want any more information on anything that's we've discussed, feel free to get in touch with myself or with Max, as you said, on LinkedIn. And look out for the next webinar coming up in the next month or so. Hope to see you all again soon. Cheers, Max.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.